Magandang gabi ho sa inyong lahat. Welcome to our show this evening. Talaga po nakafocus ngayon ang atensyon ng mga tao dito sa ating pagpipili ng isang leader, especially in the coming elections. The spotlight is on our choice of government leaders. And gusto natin talagang isipin yung mga sinabi ni Jesus nang sinabi niya, in order to rank first, to be a leader, that person must be a servant of all. Kailangan po isang lingkod muna, isang alagad muna. Talagang napakalaking bagay ito ngayon. In fact, recently, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting just issued a set of guidelines. Talagang nire-recommend ko po sa inyo lahat to take a look at that. The issue is not just the political platform. The issue is not just the programs. It's the person themselves. And that's what our show hopes to focus on. We want to go behind the scenes, a little peek, a little glimpse at the person behind the politician. Tonight we have a very special guest, and it's my great honor to welcome her here. Napaka-impressive po talaga ng credentials niya. Napaka-impressive po sa mga ginawa niya. And it really is an honor, it's a privilege for us to have her here tonight. I'd like us all to welcome Mrs. Miriam Defensor Santiago. Hello, Miriam. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Bago nag-start yung show kanina, medyo nagkwentuhan kami ni Miriam, and sabi niya, I will be demure tonight for the first time, sabi niya. Very womanly, sabi ko, ay naku, napakalaking honor naman to para sa akin. And, you know, Miriam has tremendous and impressive credentials, but even beyond that, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a woman. And we'd like to hear more about that tonight. But Miriam, before going any further, I'd like you to share with our televiewers here tonight, as briefly as you can, your program for government, what your plans are if you are elected President of the Philippines.
The basic pursuit of every thinking individual is the pursuit of happiness, and the key to happiness is submission to and obedience to God's will. That is why I'm running for president. It is a means for me to clarify what is God's will and to obey it. I believe that God's will for the Philippines is to reform the culture of corruption and to take its natural possession of leadership in the century of the Pacific Rim, the 21st century. And that is why I am pursuing my presidential candidacy.
Miriam, when you decided to run for president, how did this develop? Was this something that you felt for a long time? Was this something that you consider your destiny? When you were in UP, did you have dreams about this? How did this decision come about?
Oh, never. I had never opened a political window for myself, either in my youth or even in my professional adulthood. I began to contemplate a political window to the future only when I was removed from government. For I realized the extent and the magnitude of evil in Philippine society. And as a practicing Christian, I believe that it is the duty of every Christian to fight evil when and as he sees it. Graft and corruption is nothing but the manifestation of evil in present-day society.
Yes, well, I really agree to that. Thank you, Miriam. I'd like to introduce our panelists here tonight. We do have an honored group of panelists who are joining us here. Let me start first with the lady among them. This is Lina Ramos. She is a journalist, a writer, and she tonight will be representing women in media. Welcome to the show, Lina. We also have with us a businessman, Renato Tato Garcia. Tato is a former government official. He was in the government for 14 years. He presently and currently is the Corporate Marketing and Communications Director of Filipino Telephone Corporation. So kung kailangan po ninyo ng cellular phone, he's the man to talk to right now. And he's very active himself in church renewal. He is involved with an active charismatic community here in Manila. Tato is also married with 3 kids. Sa personal highlight naman, sabi niya sa akin kanina of his, there are 10 children in their family, and he's the only one still in the Philippines. So talagang by choice yan, working with us for the improvement of the nation. Good evening, Tato, and thank you for joining us also.
Good evening, Mrs. Santiago. Good evening, Mike.
Ito naman po, representing the youth sector. He is this is Francis Pangilinan. Francis is the youngest elected councilor in Quezon City and former president of the UP Student Council. Presently, he's a fourth-year law student at UP College of Law, hoping to pass his bars in the next year. He's also the national president for the National Movement of Young Legislators. Francis, welcome to Rank First.
Thank you. Good evening to our televiewers and to Mrs. Santiago. Magandang gabi din po.
What we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break, and actually what we'll do is to go to a video that was taken that focuses on Miriam Defensor Santiago's private life. So let's turn it over now to our team as they look at the person behind the politician. Miriam, pasensya ka na, wala kaming dalang dictionary ngayon. Pero totoo ba yan that your kids have to use the dictionary to talk to you?
Hindi naman. What I do is I encourage them to consult a dictionary every time a new word arises in conversation. And that is the reason why we have so many dictionaries on stands that are easily accessible to even my 10-year-old little boy.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's go now to some of the questions that our panelists have for you. We'd like to start with Lina Ramos. Lina, please.
Yep. Mrs. Santiago, you have always been a career woman and a very successful career woman at that. And we all know that most career women are not successful housewives. In your case, how would you describe your relationship with your children and your husband?
My relationship with my husband and my two children, one of whom is 20 years old and the other is 10 years old, is based on the maxim, no amount of success in the office can compensate for failure in the home. And so we try and focus on the basic priorities of family life, which is to love and to serve each other as a means of articulating our respect and obedience to God. And for this reason, I am happy to say that we have an entirely loving and fruitful relationship from the very beginning.
Do you still go to church together?
Yes, we do. I go to church every day, but my family and I go to church every Sunday wherever in the world we might be.
We all
Excuse me, Miriam, one of the questions that often comes up today on the political side is, how about divorce? Where do you stand on this issue of divorce?
I was regional trial court judge of Quezon City for 5 years, and in that capacity, I was normally assigned my own quota of so-called family and juvenile relations cases. In other words, cases that had to do with family law. And in that capacity, I was able to evaluate the proper judicial perspective on the issue of separation between legally wedded spouses. As a result, my basic conviction is that when a marriage is already dead, when it's already sterile, not only moribund, but effectively buried, then there is no point in prolonging its life further. It simply serves to poison the atmosphere. Thus, in certain very limited, very short-listed cases, divorce might be the only solution.
Yeah, could you give an example for some of these cases where divorce would be the solution?
Divorce would be the solution, for example, if spouses are immediately homicidal the moment they see each other.
No,
I have witnessed this in my own courtroom.
Yeah. Hindi lang divorce, siguro ang kailangan mo.
I always have to tell them it's a sin to kill your fellow human being.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any more you could think of? Any more possible cases wherein you would recommend divorce be legal?
Sometimes there are legitimate occasions when spouses simply grow out of a relationship. They grow away from each other, and there is no longer any methodology that could bring them apart as they were in their youth. In other words, people change.
Yeah, well, madalas ko po naririnig yung comment na we just fell out of love. Kaya our marriage is dead.